Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Watching My Stories.
Here we are.
You keep snapping. I'm Dhani.
I'm John. Now I'm focused on not snapping.
Yeah, sorry. It shows up on the thing when you snap really high. It's like this line on the little recording.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, we're good.
Anyway, welcome back, everyone. I'm gonna start off by saying that I think I'm trying to get a cold, so hopefully I won't have to clear my throat a whole bunch, but it feels like that, and hopefully I can get rid of it because we're going to Disneyland Thursday night for an After Dark event, and I don't want to be sick.
Woohoo!
Yes. So, okay, so I only have a couple movies to talk about. I've got a bunch of TV to talk about, and then in the Actors Corner, we are going to cover or talk about Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopee! Sorry.
Anything you want to add?
No, that was it.
Okay. The first movie I'm going to talk about is Nobody's Fool. That's a Tyler Perry movie, wrote and directed by him. And it's Tiffany Haddish and Tika Sumpter. So sorry, everybody. And if you remember, they advertised this movie of like Tiffany Haddish was the sister who was just getting out of prison, and Whoopi Goldberg's their mom, and like no one wanted her around because she was kind of this hard, chick who had been in prison and stuff. Like it was advertised like that.
Nobody wanted Tiffany Haddish around or Whoopi Goldberg?
Tiffany Haddish.
Okay.
She had just gotten out of prison.
Okay.
But that's not at all what it is. It's actually a romantic comedy. And so I think they were just kind of taking advantage of Tiffany's kind of shooting star status and kind of, saying she's in it and let's make it about her, but she's the sidekick in this. She's funny, of course, and she's wonderful and has a heart and, all of that. But it's really this romantic comedy about her sister, played by Tika Sumpter, and this guy, Amari Hardwick, who he's on that show Power that
Okay.
but I never watched it. But man, I love this dude. Yeah, I'm kind of like, maybe I should go back and watch this show now. Because I really liked him in this.
I'm guessing he's handsome.
He's very handsome, but and that's another thing is if people, I know a lot of people just associate Tyler Perry with the Medea movies, which I love the Medea movies. But if you watch Why Did I Get Married and Diary of a Mad Black Woman, like these movies where there's always this amazing male character, he writes some of the most amazing words for these men to say. There's always like a really horrible man, and then there's this amazing man that shows up, and how many times can I say amazing? And so it always kind of it tricks you, like this guy, the dude's very handsome, but it is also the character that Tyler has written for him that makes him also so much more attractive.
And he's the good guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
don't most of his movies have like a good guy with a bad woman and a good woman with a bad guy, and you're always rooting for the two good people to get together?
Well, that's how all romantic comedies really are, but no, not necessarily. Usually it's a woman who's been with bad guys and is looking for the right one, and maybe isn't gonna find, like, that's kind of this one, is she's looking for this perfect man and has a list of who she thinks the perfect man is. And his character, he owns this coffee shop that she goes into, and he really likes her, but he doesn't check off the boxes on her list, so she overlooks him constantly until finally she gives him a chance and starts to realize that some of those things don't really matter when you have other things, so and that no one's gonna tick off every box that you want. That's just impossible. But so it's one of those lovely romantic comedies that he writes so well. Tiffany's funny. She is the sister, so she's that funny thing where She just has the attitude, and there's even a catfishing issue involved. So Neve and Max from Catfish are on, and that's a really funny twist. It's good. It's one of those that I just really like. Whoopi's barely in it. She plays their mom. But when she is, she's Whoopi, and she's just fantastic.
Whoopi!
So, yeah, you just... so I really liked it. It's just one of those lovely romantic comedies that we don't get a lot of anymore.
Okay.
So I'm giving it 4 stars, and I think it really deserves that. I look forward to watching it a lot.
Well, thank you for telling me that story. That's what this is about, right? I don't have anything to say because I didn't see it, so...
I know, but that was weird. You made it weird.
I make everything weird.
I know. Okay. So the next movie I watched is actually a documentary on Netflix, and it was a Sundance film from last year. And so it finally came to Netflix, and it's called Abducted in Plain Sight. And this was an amazing story. Amazing story of this family called the Brobergs, and it's about, in particular, their daughter Jan, who was their oldest daughter. They had 3 daughters. And this man who moved into town with his family, his wife and 5 children, and this all happened back in the 70s. I think it first started like early 70s.
Did anything good happen in the 70s?
I was born.
Besides the obvious. Yeah, of course. Besides that, you always hear about the trouble started in the 70s. And
yeah,
Ted Bundy in the 70s.
So this one is an amazing story, though, about this guy. So this guy, they were actually in the Church of Latter-day Saints, and this guy moved to town with his family, and Jan's parents, who I didn't write down their names, they really took to him, and he was this super nice guy and so wonderful, and he came into their family and became like their best friend and became like an uncle to the girls, to their 3 daughters. But he had this particular kind of attraction to Jan that these parents overlooked. And here's the thing, when you hear about pedophiles and when they're going after children, how they groom the children, it's a term of when the pedophiles are introducing themselves to them and getting their trust, and kind of at the same time also shutting them off to maybe anyone else in their lives. They groom them so that then when the time is right, it's very easy to assault them. This man was such a psychopath. He groomed the entire family so that he could do what he wanted and take advantage as he wanted. And it's called Abducted in Plain Sight because he actually kidnapped Jan twice. And these parents just not let it happen. And it sounds very bad because when you're watching it and you're staring at these parents going, what idiots are you, right? Well, first you have to remember it's the 70s. There wasn't a lot of knowledge about all of this stuff back then. But then there were definite things that they should have stopped. He slept in the bed with her in their house, and they allowed that to happen.
This story is starting to make me feel icky.
He groomed the husband at a certain point by engaging in sexual contact with the husband, the father. He had an affair with the mother. And this all happened after the first time he kidnapped the daughter and was gone for I don't even remember, 3 months or something. This man was that good at being manipulative and pulling the wool over these people's eyes. I mean, really was that crazy. But all of what he was doing with the parents was just so he could get with the daughter, who was 12 at the time. And he wanted to marry her and all this stuff. He actually, oh my gosh, when he kidnapped her the first time, he had this whole elaborate story. He drugged her, and then when she woke up in this motorhome, there was a voice box next to her, and she started hearing what sounded like an alien voice, and she was told this whole story over this voice box of the aliens are going to destroy Earth unless she has a child by the time she's 16. And when she leaves this room, the male participant that they've chosen for her is there, and that's who she has to have this child with. And she, at 12 years old, fully believes this. She's been abducted and has been, and wakes up, she goes out, and there's this guy. They called him B. And there's B, he's all bloody and like, so again, believe that they've been abducted. And she believes this, and she believes this story until she's 16. And on her 16th birthday, when she has not gotten pregnant by this man, she is literally freaking out that the world is gonna be destroyed. And when she wakes up the next day and it doesn't, that's the first time where she goes, maybe this was all made up. And she finally goes and tells someone what happened. Because every time she got kidnapped and came back, she said nothing happened. They were just out doing whatever. You know, like, she never told her parents that anything sexual was happening. It was happening in their house, because even after he kidnapped her the first time, he was still allowed to go and stay in her bed 4 nights a week and having sex with her.
What was his other... Oh my God. Okay. This is...
It's crazy.
I don't want to talk about this, but I got to talk about this.
You got it.
What was his other family doing? The 4 nights he was sleeping over in another
family's... Yeah, they are not part of this, the documentary. The wife, the children are not part of this. So I think, like when she was first kidnapped, the wife did come over and ask the family to not call the police, you know. So I think the wife obviously knew what he was capable of and kind of stayed out of it.
Didn't tell this family.
It seems so. Yeah. I mean, it was, you know, it was very interesting to watch, because so the mom has since wrote a book. She wrote a book in the early 2000s about this. And Jan, the girl who went through this all, she tours the country with this book. And I think it's called Stolen Innocence, and goes around and talks about all of this. And he never got convicted of anything because, after the first time he got kidnapped, because she got kidnapped, the parents had these kind of sexual encounters with him. The wife showed up and said, if you don't drop these charges, we're going to tell everyone what you've done with him. And so they actually wrote affidavits saying, nothing happened. My daughter's fine. Everyone's fine. We want to drop the charges and all this stuff. So he never got charged with anything. And even the second time, he impersonated a CIA agent. He took the girl and enrolled her in a Catholic girls' school in another state. And he still never got, because the parents refused, because they wanted to cover themselves. Isn't that nice? I mean, I'm just going to say it. It's very selfish. They wanted to cover themselves and their own reputations. So he got off free. So within the last 10 years, they're out touring with this book. This man is showing up at these events and taunting them and calling them liars and saying all of this is wrong, where she had to go to court to get, some protection around her. And she had to face this man in court, and they show the court, feed where 25 years later, he's calling her a liar, and she's in his face saying, you need to stand up and tell people what happened. And all this. I was actually crying during that, because can you imagine how? No.
Right. I can't imagine any of this. This is I can't, this.
I love this stuff, it's as far as a story like this, it is the most, manipulative person that I've actually heard about, to pull this entire family in and truly, man, talk
about playing the long con.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy
exactly.
Shit. I mean, that's I can't talk anymore about this without using some serious profanity. So I'm just gonna stop.
It's an amazing story. There's so much more to it that I haven't even gotten into.
How can there be more to it?
There just is.
Isn't that enough?
You have to go on Netflix, watch it. It's called Abducted in Plain Sight.
No, don't anybody do that.
Oh, come on.
No.
It's an amazing story. I'd really like to read the book. I think it's probably even more. So, but these people, again, to open up their lives in such a way and talk to the camera and tell these stories that they know. I mean, the father breaks down crying a bunch of times. The mother admits she was in love with this man. They had an 8-month affair. she was, the father had filed for divorce and was like, I'm taking the kids away. That's the only reason she stopped it. Like for these people to be so open about these incredible mistakes that they made and these incredible mistakes of judgment that they had with their children. It's really a fascinating watch because normally people are not this open, and it's worth giving them the time of listening to their story and again teaching others. Watch out! Like people are not who you think they are.
Yeah, you think? I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So this poor 12-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. She's grown up now and she's touring and everything. Is she like? How normal is she? How did that go?
And that was also something interesting. They never talked about like if she's married and has children of her own now. So I think they're kind of probably keeping, if she is, I'm sure you don't want your kids out there, and so other kids know and all of that.
Look,
so
if
yeah.
I was her, I would just stay single and post an armed guard at my door. I mean, that's
right
for the rest of my life. That's,
I mean, there's no way you're not traumatized. So I'm sure she deals with it. I'm sure it's something
I can't even
that they're all
imagine
working
what
on.
that does to a person.
No,
I mean, the thing that the parents went through, the father that had whatever going on, the mother had the affair, and that's messed them up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But the kid
and the other sisters who were younger, who both times that she's taken and seeing your parents go through all of this stuff and understanding that this man who you thought was like your uncle is the bad person. Like it's all confusing for everyone involved.
But at that age, is he the bad person?
Yes.
No. I mean, if he's allowed to be there, if your parents are allowing him to be there, and he's allowed to sleep in your bed or your sister's bed,
right?
He's not really the bad guy,
right? And she's wanting it because she thinks she has to have this child to save the planet.
Oh my God!
Like she's not wanting it. Let me rephrase that.
No. She's
not wanting it.
She's on board the plan because she thinks
there's a mission. She keeps calling it the mission. And so eventually, she's fighting with her parents because she can't tell them about the mission, but she needs to be with this man, and that's what she believes. And so she's constantly saying, I need to go be with him. I need to go be with him. So it's a story, man. It's a story. You got to go check it out. Abducted in Plain Sight on Netflix. Check it out.
Don't do it.
Oh, please.
All right.
Okay.
You've just listened to it. You've been warned.
Okay, so that's the end of movies.
This next thing better be really good.
Now I feel weird transitioning into this one.
Oh, good.
So moving on to television, I'm going to talk about a new show that just started this week called I Am the Night. And it stars Chris Pine. It's directed by Patty Jenkins, who did Wonder Woman. And this is based on a true story. Sorry. About this woman who also has written a book by now, called her name is Fauna Hodel. And here's where, so her story is much more interesting than anything. Because of course I watched the first episode and then I went online to find out how much is true. Because it says based on true events. So I'm like, okay, what's true? So they've kind of invented Chris Pine's character in a way to move us through her story. In the show, we see Fauna is this white girl being raised by this black woman, and she goes to school and she sits at the quote unquote colored table and other I'm so sorry, everyone. And her friends are all black. At one point, a white person tries to sit next to her, and the other white kids are like, "Don't sit next to her. That's the colored table." Like, and so you're kind of confused because she's got these bright, kind of like greenish eyes and very light skin, and you're just kind of like, "What?" So anyway, it turns out that she's adopted, and that her mother was her adopted mother starts telling her the story because she finds a birth certificate. She was adopted. She had a white mother, and listed on her birth certificate is that she had a black father. So that's kind of, and that she has a rich grandfather, and she's given the name of the grandfather by her adopted mother. And she calls, and the guy says, "Yeah, come to LA. I'll pick you up." That's kind of the first episode. there's a lot more of, intrigue in there, but that's kind of the first episode. So I look up the story. Fauna Hodel, this is exactly what happened to her. She was raised by a black family in a black neighborhood, thought she was black and just light skinned. The name of her book is actually Waiting to Darken or something like that.
Well, she's not black.
Well, I don't think she ever, I don't think I read that she ever found who her father is actually. But so anyway, she finds out again later in life, she finds out about her whole family and finds out that her grandfather / potentially her father is this man, this doctor in LA, prominent doctor in LA named George Hodel. The reason this is now going to be a series and why this is intriguing in real life is it is widely believed that George Hodel is the Black Dahlia killer.
Okay.
George Hodel had a daughter named, I think it's Tamari, something like that. That's Fauna's mother. So Tamar had taken George to court at one point when she was a teenager, saying that he had been raping her and molesting her. And because of who he was and his money and everything, she got sent to a juvenile detention center. So there are thoughts that George could possibly actually be Fauna's father as well as grandfather. Like that's a possibility. Anyway, the series is going to follow Fauna into, discovering who George Hodel is. Chris Pine is playing this journalist who had investigated the Black Dahlia murder and had assumed, or he had dwindled down to the thinking that it was this Dr. George Hodel, but couldn't prove it, and his career was kind of ruined because of it. But now he's getting involved in Fauna and finding out all of this, and so we're going to get between her unraveling her story, we're also going to kind of unravel the Black Dahlia story. And it's something where George Hodel's son has actually spent years and years and years investigating his own father and trying to prove that he in fact is this killer. So it's a very interesting, very twisted, he seems like he's a very, George Hodel was a very strange person involved in a lot of weird, things. So all of that's going to unravel in the show.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I understand something. In real life, this guy's son has been trying to prove that he is the killer for years.
Yes.
Well, that must make Thanksgiving awkward.
I don't think anyone is surprised at this point. So it's a very interesting story. I think again, real life is probably way more interesting than what they might take some license on in the show, but I don't know. It was a very good first episode. I'm very excited because Patty Jenkins is doing this. I think it's going to, turn out really well. And again, just a very different kind of story that is based on reality that we can all enjoy on some level, even though it's...
Nope.
Yeah. So that's I Am the Night. I think... Oh, I don't even remember. Is that on TNT or FX or...
I'm the wrong one to ask.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone, but you'll find it. Anyway, it's Chris Pine. You can't go wrong. And the girl who's playing Fauna Hodel is really good so far, so...
I think it is on TNT because they kept saying stay tuned after the last award show that was on.
Yeah, I think it is TNT. Yeah. Okay, so that's First TV. Next one.
Oh, please tell me it's something light.
Rent Live.
Okay, Jesus. Holy smokes.
Okay, so everyone knows last Sunday, the latest musical for them to do live was Rent. They didn't actually do anything live until the last 6 minutes because the guy playing Roger had broken his leg the day before. So it was all what they showed us was from the dress rehearsal the night before.
Good thing they record the dress rehearsal.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't a very good recording.
Maybe not in this case, but
yeah. So
fundamentally,
the recording wasn't great. A lot of times the voices were low, the music was too high. I didn't like what they did with the direction and the few bits you saw.
Oh, the thing made me sick.
They were
camera
swirling
work
the cameras around. I don't know if they were testing that just that night, but I doubt it. It was just too much. I didn't like the either. I wasn't a huge fan of everyone that was in it. I think Vanessa Hudgens was great, which I fully expected her to be, but she's not in it enough.
Yeah, which part did she play?
She played Maureen. And then the guy who played Collins, Brandon Victor Dixon, who was also in Jesus Christ Superstar. He's also been in Hamilton. He was fantastic because it's very hard for me to ever watch other people play Collins, which was originally Jesse L. Martin's role.
Oh, yeah.
And the funeral memorial scene is always really hard for me when Jesse does it. But Brandon knocked it out of the park. I was a mess. He was really good.
Good.
Other than that, I don't have a lot. So if everyone hasn't paid attention, Rent is my favorite musical of all time. So I was already going to be hard on it to start with. I was already hard on it when they announced it because I was like, you can't do that on prime time television. Like that just seems silly.
You could, but on an HBO or something like that. It needs to be
not on
real.
network.
It needs to follow the show.
Yeah. So of course they cut out a lot of the language, and then they ended up cutting out weird stuff, like weird lyrics here and there, and I would sit there going, why did they cut that out? Like, I don't understand.
You have to do something when you're on commercial television. You just have to. You have to create breakpoints, and you end up creating a weird breakpoint if you don't change something.
I guess they also it was the spirit wasn't there. Wow. That's what I felt, and it was, and maybe again because it was a dress rehearsal. Now they did the last bit when Mimi is sick and she comes and Roger sings to her and all that. They did all of that live, and then into the last song, and they had the original cast come out and sing, and I was a mess.
Was everybody there?
Everybody was there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So it was, and look, Jesse L. Martin's on The Flash, and he hasn't been on this season because he hurt his back. So to see him there, and that he, you could tell he was gingerly walking, but again, just seeing him there with his smile, and Adina Mendoza and Taye Diggs and Toby Britton Parker and who else am I forgetting? Everyone. I can't even think right now. Anthony Rapp, of course, and Adam Pascal. And Adam Pascal stayed back. So Roger, who broke his leg, was in the back, and Adam Pascal stayed back there with him, which I thought was sweet, but I also wanted to see more of him. So that was really nice. The last 10 minutes were nice to see the original people back. I don't want to really knock it. It was fine. It just, if people had never seen it, I feel bad for people who saw this as the first time they had seen Rent, because I don't feel like it had the spirit. The guy who played Angel was good. He was really good.
Oh, I thought he was like the best part. I didn't see the.
You only saw the beginning.
I didn't see the funeral scene.
Right.
So I thought Angel was the best part.
Yeah. So, some people were good, some people weren't great. It was interesting.
It seemed very uneven, and the idea of having it on commercial television just seemed like starting off on a really bad idea.
And they had a really good idea with the set. They really went. It was a very 360 set. They had people, audience members all over. They had it high and low and all that. I get it, but kind of what's great about the show itself is it's a very bare set.
Yeah.
And it's just this loft, and then there is a little thing over top, and it just doesn't have to change. And it's nice to just stay in the one place. And they were overdoing it, and then they had to do all the camera tricks to stay up with it.
That's the thing. I actually liked the set. I liked the way they did it, and I think they did it to have a bigger crowd, right?
Yeah.
But
also it's weird.
Well, yes. But the thing that killed it for me was trying to use just a single camera, just to have everything captured by the one camera, and it's whipping around because they're going from different place to different place on the set, and they're whipping around physically, but then they get to a stationary point and it's still swirling around them and that sort of thing. And that's fine every once in a while, but man, that got actually sickening to me. It actually started to turn my stomach.
Yeah.
Give me a headache, and it just lost me technically.
Yeah.
From a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
Forget the performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Moving on. It is on Hulu now, though, if people want to go see it, but that's up to you.
Well, you didn't really sell it, so I
Go watch. I mean, the movie was even more Disney-fied than this. The movie that Chris Columbus did, and it had all most of the original cast in it. They watered that down as well, which also upset me. But I would still tell someone to go watch that because it's the original people before watching this. Obviously, go watch it on stage if you can, but
Is it still in New York?
no, but it's touring.
It's touring, okay.
I think.
Yeah. Wasn't it here like last year?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
You would know if it was.
We saw it here, but that wasn't last year. That was a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Next one is the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, yay. Okay, finally.
Oh, yay. A story about a woman who had been abducted and kept underground for 11 years.
Yeah, but she's good with it now.
Not so much, but
well,
anyway.
you know what I mean. Uh-oh. Studio dog going nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we got the last 7 episodes last weekend, and the show's over.
So I haven't seen these 7 episodes.
Right.
So I still have to go through them, and I will. So I know you're going to spoil some things for me, and that's my own fault. That's fine. But
you'll forget anyways.
Yeah, that's the one good thing about having a really poor memory.
So I don't want to get into a lot of details, but I just want to say if you're a fan of the show, I think you'll enjoy how it ends. It's good for everyone, even in a way that you know, the struggle that they've kind of all lived, right? Whether we're talking about Kimmy or Titus or Jacqueline, or they've all struggled over all these years. They've lost everything, or they're doing whatever they're doing, and it never seems great. But they all end up in a really good place, and it's still funny as heck. It's just one of those shows that, to me, even more so than 30 Rock was, where you have to watch so many times to really capture all the jokes and keep them and remember them and follow it through. And so this last season, between the first 7 that we got and now these 7, really was so much more of a change for all of them, and trying to figure out what they really wanted to do. And a lot so for Kimmy's had such a struggle, as bright and cheery as she's always been, there's always been that she does have PTSD no matter what she wants to think about it. So even this year they're shopping in a Halloween store and she sees a pumpkin, and I don't know if you remember, but she always talks about her pumpkin toilet. That's what they always used in the bunker. And she sees this plastic toilet in the middle of the store, strips down, and starts going to the bathroom.
I walked in on that scene when you were watching it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that she can't avoid. She also can't avoid not trusting anyone. So anyone shows up, she punches them. She doesn't, and it actually, in this last few episodes, it saves their lives. A man shows up and is actually intending to kill them, and she won't let him near them because she doesn't trust him. So there's also some good points to it. But she's also Kimmy Schmidt, and she wants to make the world better. And so in the end of the first half of the season, she had written this book for kids, and that book ends up being that whole kind of the whole point of her existence, really, because it's a book to teach boys how to behave better and
to not abduct girls and put them in the
to be better people all the way around. And and so that ends up being her legacy, really, and so it turns out really well. But it's also, you can't talk about the show without without those one-liners that you don't see coming, and they're just, and they will hit anyone, whether it's a joke about the president, or it's a joke about the entire entertainment industry, or it's a joke about just New York in general, or whatever it is.
Right.
It's so smart and so brilliant. And everyone in the cast, Carol Kane, I mean, come on.
Right.
Lillian is one of the funniest characters in this whole thing. And again, she ends up in a place where, you know, is just perfect for Lillian to end up. I mean, it's all, it all comes together. And I know Titus, he always gets nominated. You know, he's the one who, you know, like I think Kimmy's gotten nominated maybe once or twice, but every year he always is. But it's really, as an ensemble, they're all just so good. And I can't imagine how they look at these scripts that, you know, are words that aren't the normal words that would come out of your mouth, you know? So you really have to, focus on these words. Because if you improvise, that's not the normal thing you would say. You know? Yeah. So it's just, it's so good. And they're all so wonderful. So if you haven't watched it, obviously all seasons are on Netflix. It's so worth it. And it is one that I go back and rewatch because it's just pure fun. Yeah. You can't help it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's over, and I'm sad, but it was really well done. So I look forward to watching them again with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The last show I'm going to talk about is a new one that came on Netflix on Friday, called Russian Doll. And this is, stars Natasha Lyonne, and she's also the creator. Here's the thing about the show. 4 women creators, Amy Poehler being one of them, Natasha Lyonne the other, and then 2 other women. And it's all female creators, all female writers for all 8 episodes, and all female directors for all 8 episodes. I'm just pointing that out because it does make a difference. I know I've talked about it a few times on here, but it does, and especially in this story, because Russian Doll is Natasha Lyonne's character. She's Nadia. She's at her 36th birthday party that her friends are throwing for her. She goes out with this, she leaves with this guy and ends up getting hit by a car and dies. And bam, she's back at the party in the bathroom, starting the whole night over again. It's a Groundhog Day situation. Only she dies every time.
But does she know she's already died?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the second time she's like, wait a minute, this is deja vu, this is weird. She dies, she comes back again. Third time she's like, okay, something's going on.
Don't leave with that guy.
She doesn't leave with him a second time. Like every time it's all different. And she dies a different way every single time.
Oh, well, that sucks.
So yeah, she starts being like, she dies on the stairs a couple times, and then she starts being careful. She goes down fire escape. She, you know, gas explosion. She falls down a grate, you know, on the sidewalk. You know, always something different. She might make it a day or two and then still dies. And and then she ends up, she's in an elevator and it's dropping to its death. And this other guy's staying next to her and he's not panicking. And she says, you know, didn't you get the memo? We're about to die. And he says, that's okay. I die all the time. So we realize now he's going through it as well. So then they die. She wakes up. She has to go find this guy. So then they find each other, and then they start realizing they're dying at the same time every time. And then they start trying to figure out what's going on. So here's the thing. It's 8 episodes. Each episode is at a half hour. So you're talking 4 hours. Actually, no episode is longer than 29 minutes. What? Well, I say half hour sometimes. Sometimes the episodes are 34 minutes. Sometimes they're 25 minutes, you know. So it's like, I'm just saying this one, even nothing's longer than 29 minutes. I don't know why you're laughing.
Because half hour is good enough.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. This is Natasha Lyonne's project. This is her. And if you don't like her, you might not make it through the show. I happen to love her. I've loved her for a long time. Huh.
Who is she?
You don't know?
No, of course I don't know who she is.
You don't watch Orange is the New Black. She's on that. She was in Woody Allen films. You wouldn't know that. Why can't I think of...
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Anyway, I really like her, so I really enjoyed this. And here's the thing. She's got this kind of tragic story to her with her mother. She's not entirely great on her own. She's wanting to cut off. She doesn't really like having her friends around. She doesn't want to be in relationships. She's very distant from people, but she's very smart. And so it's very character driven, and it's also about this other guy too. And who plays him? Oh, his name's Charlie Barnett, and I really liked him. And he's been in a lot of things, but nothing that I was like, oh yeah, that guy. But he's been in things I've seen, so it was weird. But he it's the same thing with him too. He's got stuff going on. And so it's about these characters, what's happening behind them, what's really going on in their lives. And that's kind of what they have to explore. And how they can save themselves from dying again, you know? And so it took about 3 episodes in for me to be, connected, for me to really be like, okay, I'm going to keep going. So stick with it. And then it gets really good. And people are talking about a second season. Again, I don't want a second season. Like, it ended. We're good. I'm happy. Like, you know, let's not ruin it. Come up with something else. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I also think, because the reason I pointed out is female writers and directors, and it's really just these 4 women that are the team behind all of these episodes. It matters because she's not a great woman. You know, she sleeps around, she smokes, she drinks, she's, you know, but she's very smart. And she has all these issues with her mother. And I feel like because these women are the ones who wrote for her and are showing her story, she's still this likable person that you're fully on board with. I feel like, you know, again, if a man had been telling the story, maybe she would have been unlikable. But she's not unlikable at all, at least in my opinion.
You just described Don Draper right there.
Right. But when women are in that,
see,
it's just different.
That's so irritating.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's just hope she keeps getting nominated like John Hamm did.
It won't surprise me because, she's really, and again, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, are they going to stick this in the comedy category because it's a half hour? Where there's, you know, she's very quippy, and that's not a word. She's very clever.
It is this week.
And she makes little, she's funny, but it's not a comedy, you know, so it's kind of like, what are they going to do about that? But we'll see.
Is it funnier than The Favorite?
Yes.
Okay,
actually.
So then it might be a comedy.
But then not really. I don't know. I can't compare all that.
It's so stupid putting labels on those things.
So that's Russian Doll. Again, a really easy watch, but not so easy in the subject but it is. I don't know. It's one of those really hard to describe. And I'd love to talk to someone who has seen it, because the ending, I think, can be interpreted in a few different ways. Mm-hmm. And I have thoughts. I don't think they're necessarily exactly what they thought it was, but it could be interpreted that way. So it's one of those that I feel like you could talk to someone about and kind of have a discussion.
All right. Well, I'll hurry up and watch it, and we can talk more about it.
You're not gonna watch
Nope.
it. Nice try. Okay, so that's it for TV.
Okay, so that's it, except for the Actors Corner.
A good uplifting episode.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so because Whoopi Goldberg was in Nobody's Fool, that's who we chose this week. This was a little, I was a little surprised by this, because here's the thing. I think it was like 174 acting credits on her IMDb page.
Yep.
She has been in everything. From Law and Order, of course, Star Trek, which I loved her in.
Yeah.
She had her own sitcom. She's appeared on like every show there is.
Yeah.
One way or another. And it's just like, so, but then when I go to just movies, it turns out actually some of hers on here are some of my top movies of all time.
Sure.
But a lot of the ones that she was famous for in the 80s, I realized I had never seen. So,
oh my God, really?
Yeah. So it was interesting.
So here's the thing for me, me going through her IMDb and the 174 things.
Yeah.
I think I've seen her in 2 things since 2000. Like half of her acting has been like in the last 20 years. And I don't think I've seen much of it. Really?
Okay.
So almost everything on my list is pre-2000.
Yeah, mine is too. But that's because that's what the really good stuff was for me.
I guess. Yeah, maybe that's...
Yeah. Okay. So movies you love.
I got it down to 2.
Okay.
Ghost.
Okay.
Classic. I mean, everybody's top 10.
Yeah.
And Made in America. I just loved that movie.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. Her and Ted Danson is so weird because they were together at that point.
Yeah. Which I didn't know until well after that.
Oh, okay.
But, I'm not a movie file like you are.
Movie file. Okay. Yeah, and Ghost, obviously she won the Oscar for that. But yeah, it's one of those that if it weren't for her in that movie, I don't think I would like the movie as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not that she's funny. It's just her energy and the way she delivers the lines, and then at the end, especially like her heart that's there.
Yes.
And it's to me, it's so much her. That's the reason I'm going to tune. And if I'm going through and I look and it's something that I know her scenes coming up or whatever, then I'll stick around and I'll watch it.
Yes,
yeah,
totally. And I think that was the first thing I saw her in. So like, she shows a lot of emotion in that movie, especially at the end.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh man, this woman is really, whatever. And she hasn't shown any emotion since.
Yeah. Well, she was in The Color Purple before that. So
Before that.
you missed that. Yeah.
I know. Well, we'll get to that because that's on my list for something. But yeah, so, here it is like, okay, this woman's going to be, there's a huge range and all this stuff. And it's like,
well, you haven't seen a lot then because,
yeah,
she has shown.
I haven't
she
seen
has
a lot.
shown emotions. And
so,
stuff.
But I thought the movie Ghost, she shows everything.
Yeah.
It's a huge range of ability and emotion. So I think she deserved the Oscar.
Totally. I agree.
Yes, totally.
Okay. I got mine down to 2. And they're also just favorite movies of all time. Boys on the Side.
Never saw it.
Yeah. Her, Drew Barrymore, and Mary Louise Parker. It's
interesting. It's
a gorgeous female friendship, love story. First time I ever saw Matthew McConaughey in anything. He was in that. Young. Just great story. Love it so much.
Cool. Okay.
I think you would like it, actually.
Okay, I'll add it to my list.
My second one, musicals, Cinderella. And this was the Disney Cinderella that Whitney Houston produced. And so she was the queen mother.
Okay.
And what's his face was the king, and Whitney Houston was the fairy godmother, and Brandy was Cinderella. And it's still to this day my favorite version of Cinderella. I have it on the DVR permanently. I love it, and she's great in it. She sings in it, and it's just one of my favorites, so I had to put it up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, movies you like.
Sister Act.
Yeah. First one or second one?
First one.
Okay.
The original. And so I went a little bit different here. I narrowed it down to 2, and I got to give her props for this.
Okay.
The View. Yeah, I know it's weird, but when I think about her, especially lately being the last several years, I kind of think about what she's doing on The View, right? Her point of view and activism,
right?
And political viewpoints that she espouses on there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I like what she does. I'm obviously she and I are of the same ilk. Well, we're on the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I support a lot of her views.
Okay. Cool. Movies I like for me, first is Moonlight and Valentino.
Jesus, I didn't even see
another female. It's Elizabeth Perkins, her, Kathleen Turner, and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Wow, I like 3 of those 4.
It's and John Bon Jovi, who is the male Candy of the movie. Elizabeth Perkins loses her husband. He dies. He gets hit by a car. And this is their group of women.
I love Elizabeth Perkins.
Yeah. And so they all come and are with her as she's mourning and just kind of going through that whole thing. And John Bon Jovi's painting her house. And so, it's just it's just another one of those that, like, those came out. Moonlight and Valentino and Boys on the Side kind of came out around the same time. And just having these female... And in both movies, she plays, just smart women, and both of these, all the women in both these movies are just smart and active and friends. They're very strong friendship movies,
supportive
which is just great.
Of each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and my second one here is Soap Dish.
Yeah, that could have made my list.
Oh my God, I love the movie. Anytime it's on, I'll stop and watch.
Yeah.
Her and Sally Field are some of the funniest scenes ever. It's just so
Sure.
great. Oh, and
Sure.
Robert Downey Jr. too. Oh, love it.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
Okay, movie you hate.
So remember I amended this one a couple weeks ago to be movie or TV
Right.
series I don't like or I hate.
Right.
This is don't like. Eddie.
I never saw it.
Yeah, that's
Is that the
one.
basketball one?
Yeah, that's the one where she becomes a coach of the Knicks.
Okay.
It could have been what it could have been, but it did not in my eyes. I just it got weird and tedious, and I just didn't care for it.
So I don't have anything in this category
Yeah,
because
that was-
I didn't see that. I didn't see Jumpin' Jack Flash. I didn't see
Right.
like there's another one back then that like I just never saw those early ones. Well, I mean I saw Color Purple and Ghost or whatever, but I didn't see those. Like I don't anything I've seen her in, and I wrote down on my list. I haven't not liked.
Right. Yeah. And look, it's not like I really don't like Eddie.
Right.
I wished it were more.
Yeah.
I would go so far as to say I liked it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to like it a lot more because I think the story would have been
Right.
the premise could have been really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Secretly Love.
I'm on such an island here. I know this. Monkey Bone.
I've never even heard of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Brendan Fraser. He's a cartoonist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Never saw it.
Yeah. So a lot of people did not like
Not
it. It's not
surprised you
very,
like it.
it's not highly recommended on Rotten Tomatoes or on IMDb. I think its IMDb score is like 5.2. But yeah, so full disclosure, I'm a big fan of Brendan Fraser's, and she's not a huge part of it, but it was just something about the movie. I just really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not a lot of people did, so I don't tell. If somebody asks me, I generally say, "Oh no, it's horrible." But
Okay.
just so I don't lose face.
Okay. For me, it's not really about secretly loving them, but the Sister Act movies. And I actually like the second one better just because Lauryn Hill and the music in the second one I like a lot better.
Yeah, I can see that.
But there was something I was watching just like last week, and like it was a church scene and they were singing some song, and I was like, how do I know this song? And it's from the first Sister Act. And of course they changed the words in the first Sister Act to where whatever it was that I was watching was like the real thing. And I was just like, oh, I know this song from Sister Act. So it was like, I was a little bit like, oh, it's a real song. Of course I knew they were doing real songs, but not, I don't know. I guess I never thought of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually just watched the first one sometime in the last couple of months. So I was working and it was on, and I put it on, and I just, you can't go wrong with it.
Right.
It's just great.
Right.
And the second one with the kids, I love that whole thing too. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Embarrassed you haven't seen.
How Stella got her groove back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear about it all the time. And like last week at the SAG Awards,
Yeah.
what's his
Tay
face
Diggs.
was? Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm very embarrassed.
Oh yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Again, I'm not really like embarrassed that I didn't see Jumpin' Jack Flash. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like I didn't really write anything down
Okay.
because
But that would be yours if you.
no. The only real one is the one for Colored Girls that Tyler Perry did a few weeks, that's based on the book. I do want to see that, and I haven't, so maybe I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And adding to your watch list?
The Color Purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I hear it's uplifting. And,
Yeah, no, but the musical's really good.
Yeah, no, that's what
I'd
I've
love
heard.
to. I'd love for you to see the musical.
Yeah.
So my honorable mentions. Let's see. We talked Color Purple, Ghost, Sister Act, Made in America, Star Trek, Lion King.
Yep.
She's one of the hyenas in Lion King,
Yeah.
and has some of the best lines in the whole thing.
Yeah.
How Stella got her groove back. Girl Interrupted. Oh,
Yeah.
so good in that as the nurse.
That's Spike Lee, right?
Girl Interrupted?
Isn't it? No.
No,
Why did I think that was Spike Lee?
I don't know. I don't believe it is. Let me look.
Okay.
Keep
Well, it's not
talks amongst yourselves.
You want me to vamp for a minute? Yikes.
Oh no.
So
Girl. Oh.
I see.
Let's see. Who directed Girl Interrupted? Yes, James Mangold. So no, it's not a Spike Lee movie.
Okay.
Joint. Yeah. So yeah, she was good in that. That's about it. So it was a little strange of a week, but that's okay.
It's kind of depressing, gotta be honest.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, but
let's try harder next week.
Go watch Kimmy Schmidt. That'll make everyone happy. And Nobody's Fool is really good too. So
yeah. Okay.
Anyway. Okay. So everyone have a great week. Stay warm wherever you are, because even here in LA, we're just having days of rain for the next few days, and it's the whole city is just destroyed. So
yeah, I had a heck of a storm come through yesterday and flooded out a lot of people's backyards.
Yeah,
ours included.
Really?
Well, yeah, I told you what happened when we went outside last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's boring. We're boring now.
The poor studio pup had to slog through about 3 inches of water.
Good times.
You sound like, what's her face?
That's what I was doing, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, everybody.
Well done.
Check out our website, watchingmystories.com, and reach out to us.
Yes, please.
Happy February. We'll talk again next week.
Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Go Rams.
That's right. That's happening today.
That is happening today.
Yeah. Watch people hurt themselves.
Sorry, Peggy, but anybody but the Patriots.
Oh, my gosh.
Love you. Got to go by.
Cares? All right. Have a good have a good week, everyone. Talk to you later.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.